Hey everybody, good morning. Thank you for stopping by. Still waiting for some reason for YouTube to launch. There we go. Good morning. Welcome. Just give me a second here. I launched like a minute or two early. I really wanted to do like a couple of minutes earlier. But just in case we had any issues. Now, there is a press conference for the Delphi murders. What we're going to do is we're going to watch the press conference first, and then we're going to do some recapping for people that don't know the story. I'm still learning about the story. I think I got most of the gist of it. Let me just see here. And this is like a big deal. I mean, this story's been going on for years. Here we go. I got the link for the presser. It hasn't started yet. So let me just give me a second. Let me pull up the links. I want to have the stream up. I want to have multiple backups just in case, you know. So let me have these here. Okay. Let me see if I have any other backups. If you guys could hit like too, por favor, I'd appreciate that. This thing is a huge deal. I mean, it's been freaking years in the coming since 2017. Isn't the press conference in 1 more hour? No, it's happening now. It's about to start. That's why we're here, for the presser.
Issues, but members of the community are here, have not seen the family as yet, trying to look around. They're supposed to be seated on the other side of the room, but yeah, the community, these families, I mean, this is the day, today is the day that they have been waiting for more than 5 years. As I was saying before, the girls' murders really changed this entire community. Here's Indiana State Police right now.
Here we go, guys.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post. I'd like to thank you all for being here and thank the Delphi United Methodist Church for allowing us to use their facility. This morning, we're going to provide an update on the investigation into the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce to you our speakers, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, the Carroll County Sheriff, Tobe Lesenby, and the Carroll County Prosecutor, Nick McClelland. I'd like to remind everyone that this continues to be an active and ongoing investigation. At the conclusion of this press conference, we are going to answer a limited amount of questions out of respect to the investigation and the process that will follow today. We will not discuss evidence that is related to this investigation. On behalf of the Delphi Double Homicide Task Force, thank you all for your continued support. I would now like to introduce to you our first speaker, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter.
Oh, Delphi.
Give me just a second here. Seldom do I have prepared remarks, but today is different because I do not want there to be any confusion or ambiguity with what I will say. Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day. And an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and you know I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable.
Okay.
Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Linsonby, the Sheriff of Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi Chief and now the prosecutor's investigator Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman, Detectives Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy Clinton and Agent Bill Colfers. With them today is Dan McClain, the U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal. Our state police analyst, our scientist from many different disciplines within our laboratory division, Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail and to so many others that I know I've missed. I really believe that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found just a bit of peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day.
Oh boy.
Today's not that day. This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time. Prosecutor Nick McClellan, of course, will share additional information about what we can and cannot say, and also explain to you why the probable cause affidavit is temporarily sealed by the court and not available.
Ooh, wow.
And by the way, he has been a tremendous asset to this team.
Probable cause sealed.
I'm yet again asking you for your patience and please your understanding while our system of due process works. Also remember that all persons arrested are presumed innocent. All persons arrested are presumed innocent. You all will have an innate desire to subjectively interpret and then report what you think. We in the law enforcement realm cannot, and you should never allow us to, talk about what we think concerning facts, but rather discuss and share at the right time what it is we know. The time will come when additional details can be released. But again, today is not that day. about Abby and Libby, their families, and this community, this nation, and even our planet. The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply. If you choose to be critical of our silence, be critical of me, not the front line. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. As we move to the next phase of this investigation, I will continue to offer all resources that the ISP has to not only the investigative team that I anticipate growing, but also to Prosecutor McClellan as we prepare for the coming months. Again, Nick has been very resolute and very clear, and I'm most grateful for his leadership. And it's going to be really important as we move forward. Please continue offering tips that you would like to share. The many avenues to report will remain open and will be available to all. Please continue doing that. In closing, I stand before you in this church and very place where we held our first briefing nearly 6 years ago, and just hours after the murders of Abby and Libby. Right here. Pulling in today, I wasn't really sure what emotion I would experience. But peace came over me. And I didn't expect that to happen. And I hope all of you, with all the different responsibilities you have from around the planet today, have felt some of that as well. But remember, we're not done. I think what we all have experienced proves that together there's nothing we cannot do. But more importantly, giving of ourselves, all of us, giving of ourselves matters more than what we could ever receive. Abby and Libby, though in death, have had a profound effect on so many of us, on how we live, and as importantly, who we all should be. I would now like to introduce to you my friend and the Carroll County Sheriff, Tom Ledzaby, for his remarks. Sheriff.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Everybody's streaming this, so thank you for being here. We're going to recap the story after this. Go over some details.
I believe in a God of justice and righteousness. Today, I believe that same God has provided us with justice for Abby and Libby. As Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I want to publicly and sincerely thank each individual who played a role in helping us during this 5.5-year investigation. Whether it was in an investigative capacity, providing tips, cards or letters of suggestions or encouragement, phone calls, and thousands of other countless ways of communicating. I earnestly thank those who prayed for this moment in time. We now move forward through the Indiana criminal justice system, allowing the system to provide its due diligence and process. in providing that justice which is owed Abby and Libby, their families, and this community. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County Prosecutor. And before we get started, I want to reiterate some of the things that Sheriff Lesenby and Superintendent Carter stated. I first want to thank both of them. They've been a great support to my office throughout this investigation. They've always been there for a phone call and always been willing to help a hand or a line of assistance to me and my office during this investigation. I want to thank the team behind me. This is the Homicide Task Force team that we've put together. Thank them and thank their families for being so understanding for the many nights they've worked away from their families, away from their children. There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. This investigation is still very ongoing. We're keeping the tip line open, the tip email open. We encourage everybody to continue to call in tips, not only about Richard Allen, but about any other person that you may have. For that reason and for the nature of this case, the probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court. I've been very clear to everybody that per the court order, we cannot talk about the evidence that's in the probable cause or the evidence that's in the charging information. That will become evident to you at some point and it'll be released, but right now is not that day. Today's about Abby and Libby, focusing on them. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty. The matter's been set for a pretrial on January 13th at 9 a.m., 2023, and a trial date of March 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. He is presumed innocent. We will have an opportunity and day in court when we can present the evidence that we have against him. But until that day, he is presumed innocent. I want to open up to a few limited questions from the audience. But again, keep in mind, we are not going to talk about the evidence that we have in this case or about the charging information. We cannot. Those things have been sealed by the court. And so I want to open up a few questions.
Prosecutor, when did Richard Allen become a suspect, and do you think he acted alone?
Again, that's part of the investigation, so I'm not going to talk about those things. What I can say is that we have probable cause established by the court for his arrest, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
How long has he been a suspect?
I'm sorry?
Is Mr. Allen connected?
Again, that gets into the evidence we have of the investigation, and I know from everybody it's frustrating. I know everybody, not only reporters, but the family, everybody wants to know more information. I understand it's frustrating, but my goal is to maintain the integrity of this case.
Is there a degree that goes?
Superintendent Carter, you had said that you believe that you had spoken to the suspect or the suspect's family 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
This man, one of those people.
Again, I appreciate the question, but we're getting into the timeline of events, and today's not the time to do that.
Can you talk about how rare it is?
Family, I know you've had a lot of conversations with them. You were almost in tears pretty much when you started off this press conference. Can't imagine how emotional it is for everybody that's worked on this case. What was your conversation first like with the family, Abby and Libby, when you were able to tell them you finally got the suspect?
It was a very personal moment for me, and I think it was a very personal moment for them, for all of us that have had interaction with the family. We developed a relationship that I think is going to last at least one lifetime, and maybe a second. So it was a very, very, very sad yet a very humbling experience.
Superintendent, you asked for tips. Detective work was a reward for $325,000. Did this all come together to make this nexus? Is that the combination of all three things that led us to this day, or is it one or the other?
Well, eventually you'll be able to see what led us to this day, but again, today's not that day. To include the reward, you mentioned that, Raphael, about the reward itself, and again, very premature for us to talk about that. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do.
What would you say that Abby and Libby
think probably resilience and understanding the value of each and every day. That today was the day, but I didn't anticipate they ever thought today would be their day. And I feel like I've known them for a long time.
Is somebody else involved in this case?
Excuse me?
Do you assume there's any other individuals involved in this case?
We haven't closed the door on the investigation. And so that's why we keep the tip line and the tip email open. And so we're not presuming anything at this point, but we're going to continue to take tips, continue to take any information anybody has. And as we've done with all the information we've gathered, we're going to look at that and examine that and see where it leads us.
Mr. Prosecutor,
Is
can you
Alan
explain
facing
the
any
law?
other
You've asked the court, based on this investigation, that these documents should remain out of the public view. Can you explain, without getting into the details of what's in the documents, well, this is not regular. Usually a public hearing is held. We should be able to see all the documents, right? Can you
Sure,
explain that? But
sure.
you made a decision. Can you explain your decision as to why you believe that maybe for the next 30 days, no one in this room should have access to those records?
Sure, it is unusual. We don't do it very often in all the cases that we handle here in Carroll County. We did it in this case because the investigation is still open. And while all cases are important, the nature of this case has some extra scrutiny with it. And so my office, felt it was important to seal those records. There will be a public hearing on whether or not those records are going to remain sealed or not. There'll be public notice for that hearing so that everyone can attend, but there will be a hearing to determine whether or not they're going to stay sealed. But for now, to me, it's about protecting the integrity of this case. I want to have an opportunity at some point to have an opportunity in court to explain the evidence and for that not to be tarnished or tainted or anything like that. Again, he's presumed innocent. And so it was important for me in this case to do that. Hold on just a minute. We're not going to comment on that right now as part of the investigation. Again, we just encourage everybody to continue to call in tips if they have them about anybody, and we'll examine those tips.
How does it feel for you guys to have searched nationwide for nearly 6 years, going all over the place, only to find your guy, down the street from your office?
That's a hard question to answer. It's a mixed emotions. I've been watching the news all weekend like everybody else has, and I think a lot of the members of the public said it right. It's bittersweet. It's a step in the right direction. It's concerning that he's a local guy. So I think just different emotions. Again, this is a step in the right direction. This is the first step into getting into court and having a trial. And so.
previous?
Has Mr. Allen been cooperative?
All right. That concludes our press conference today. Shortly, I will be releasing a press release that will have his photo and a couple more details that'll also be here for handout. That'll also be on the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post Facebook page. Right after this press conference, I'm going to send it out. There's also hard documents in the back. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today, and be safe as you travel home.
Okay, that's it. And there's the tip line. Right before this press conference started, I had one of the videos that I watched. They said that it was going to be kind of short, and it was. And I guess they're protecting all the information for the investigation. Thank you for the super chat. That's a shame. Says, I'm an attorney in Indiana. The entire case is sealed. The only jurisdiction equals threat to ongoing investigation. What are they still looking for? Can tell you this guy has no real crime history, though. Well, let's do some of the recapping. Let's go over some of the story. Again, thank you guys for joining me this morning. And I just can't imagine for the people that have been following this for years. I haven't followed the story like that, but for years following the story and the wild goose chase, because when I was watching some of the videos that Kasi sent me, at first it seems like they thought it was this guy named Logan because the girls' bodies were found on his property. And then it went to this guy named Keegan Klein, which we're going to get into as well. And he's sus. Weirdo, sus. He's the guy that was apparently talking to the, I think it was one of the girls. I think it was, I don't know if it was Abby or Libby. We'll have to see, on Snapchat the day that they were killed. He was the last one supposedly to talk to them. I was also told that this was dubbed. I never heard of this before. Dubbed Snapchat murders because it was taken on that app or something like that. Or she took a picture or a video of this guy on the train tracks. So I went from Keegan and also his father, Keegan Kline and Tony Kline. They thought like they were involved. And then this person, Richard Allen, from what I'm hearing, this guy was never even on the map for people, for most people. Like nobody supposed to name that was ever out there. The weird, creepy shit about this guy too, this Richard Allen guy. Well, let me show you a picture. This guy, right? This guy. It's one of the things that I've been hearing. Like this guy, he literally, like, I think this is his wife. Literally has a picture of him and his wife, and like he has the sketch in the background of the killer. This one of the sketches that they put out. Isn't that some shit? This guy has a wife and a daughter. Not only that, some more weirdo shit. All right, before we get into recapping, for people like me that don't really know the story or you're brand new, this is a huge like deal within like the crime community, for the family, I guess for friends, for police, for people that have been covering this. This stems back from 2017. But not only that, I forgot to. Let me cross out one more thing here. I should have crossed out. So this guy, he has a daughter, right? He and his daughter, of course, I'm assuming she doesn't know, but he takes a picture of this girl on the same damn train tracks. I got a message here. And they're saying he was on the radar. From what I've seen, Richard Allen, I've seen news clips where they're saying he wasn't on the radar. I'm being told he was on the radar. This pic was from a pic the video. Let's see. I don't know. I heard the Richard Allen name was never out there before. But anyway, so this guy, and we'll figure it out. We'll get to the video clip. So this guy, he literally, his daughter on the same freaking train tracks, right? Now, this was like a snapshot, but this was the video clip of the guy that she took, I guess, on his phone. This dude taking pictures of his daughter on the same train track. So, oh shoot, what the hell am I doing here? All right, so let's start with a recap here first. Creepy shit. So the whole situation was Abigail at the time 13 and Liberty 14 at the time. This situation happened in Indiana. They had a day off from school. It was a warm day for Indiana. I was told it was like between 55 and 60, which is like warm for the season over there at that time. They asked their grandma if they could go to this I guess it was like a trail or park. It's Moonon High Bridge over Deer Creek Township. And she said, if you can get a ride, you can go. And so they got a ride from their older sister. That sister's name is Kelsey German. And at 1:35 on Monday, February 13, 2017, the 13-year-old Abigail and 14-year-old Liberty were dropped off by their older sister on a county road 300 north, east of Hoosier Heartland Highway. The girls were hiking on Moonon High Bridge over Deer Creek among a woodland in a remote Deer Creek Township. At 2:07, Libby posted a photo of Abby walking the bridge. And so that's that image that I just showed you here. Let me pull it up again real quick. That's the picture that was taken. And so at 2:07, they posted a photo of Abby walking the bridge. After this, they were not heard from again. They were reported missing at 5:30 because their father was supposed to pick him up. They were supposed to meet with their father, Liberty's father, at 3:15 p.m. They never showed. The families initially searched for the girls themselves before calling the police. Authorities who quickly searched the area did not initially suspect foul play in the disappearance. However, this changed when the bodies of the girls were found around noon next day, 0.5 miles east of the abandoned Monon High Bridge. Bodies were found on the north bank of Deer Creek. All right, so let's start with some of the recap. I'm going to pull some of the links as well while we play this.
It was February 13th, 2017, the day before Valentine's Day, a day that would leave two families mourning, a community frightened, and investigators puzzled for years to come. It was on that cold Monday that 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German went to the Monon High Bridge in Delphi. The young teen girls had the day off from school. They were dropped
I'm also told that they were best friends, the two girls.
off, then disappeared. A search would discover their tragic end the next day. Their bodies discovered in a wooded area not far from that bridge along the banks of Deer Creek. What we would all soon learn is that Libby, in those terrifying moments, captured evidence that would help police in the search for the killer. On February 15th, 2017, police released cell phone images from Libby's phone showing a suspect in the case coming across the bridge toward the girls. A week later, police released audio from Libby's phone.
And the internet, from what I could tell and remember, they were trying to break this down. This was like and is huge mystery.
As 13 News reported on the case, we spoke with Ronald Logan, the man who lives at the property where the girls were found.
Has this gotten to you? Has this played on your mind?
Yeah, the longer it goes, yes, it does. Yeah, it's
So this is the guy. This is Logan, and so from what I have watched, and they're going to say the girls' bodies, I believe, were found on his property. This guy was like the people were thinking this was the guy. This guy, all kinds of shit was happening at the time. I can only imagine how it was, because I'm thinking now the craziness when we're covering these stories now on YouTube and how people go and like they hound people and shit. I can only imagine what it must have been like for this guy. But this guy did lie though to police about some shit, and so
I'm not sure I fully comprehend what all's happened yet. Two young kids playing, thinking they're having a wonderful day, Valentine's Day, and ends up in one of the largest tragedies in Carroll County history.
In your backyard?
In my backyard. Yeah, it's a big thought. Okay. Not a good one.
Turns out the FBI was also talking to Logan. An agent at the time noted that Logan's voice was not inconsistent with that of the voice captured on German's phone. The FBI notes an interview with Logan's relative in which the relative tells the agent that Logan called them the morning of February 14th, 2017, and asked them to lie about where he had been the previous afternoon. That was before the bodies of the girls were found. 13 News was there as Logan's home was searched.
More than a dozen investigators worked for hours, searching Ron Logan's home, his garage, barns, and property. They are looking for clues to whether Logan is connected to the murders.
Basically, we're trying to either clear him or look at him even harder. That's what we're trying to do here.
Abby Williams and Libby German were found murdered on Logan's property. Days later, he walked us to the secluded crime scene, appearing shaken by what occurred here.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's just so mind-boggling.
And this guy is like deceased now. But, taking you through we're trying to go back into the timeline of like what happened. He was being accused. He's actually innocent, but he was being accused. He did lie to police about his whereabouts or something like that. Maybe he was nervous that they were going to try to tie him into this shit,
Later, when someone used social media claiming Logan resembles investigators' prime suspect, the 77-year-old was understandably angry.
I was cleared by the authorities ages ago.
Since then, investigators received new leads and found new information, prompting the search and putting new attention on Logan.
As we have gone into the investigation and have talked to other people, things are just not adding up, and we're just trying to get things added up.
Police arrested Logan earlier this week on a probation violation. He has numerous drunk driving convictions. He's being held without bond. Investigators searched with the help of a canine. They carried away armloads of potential evidence and seized Logan's truck. Police, though, warned against rushing to any conclusions.
This is part of the investigation. This is not our first search warrant. We've done several others.
A picture of him too here. So his arrest was unrelated, but so he lied. Thanks, Dad, for some minutes. Rogan lied to investigators about where he was the day Libby and Abby went missing. And I'm thinking maybe the only reason he did this is because he was like, holy shit, they're gonna tie me to this fucking thing, like, you know. And by the way, which we'll get into also, the girls' bodies, the way they were found, it's been said multiple times too, and we're gonna get to the videos and stuff, that it looked like it was staged, like they were moved maybe from their original location. They were staged there. Who knows if this guy that killed these girls or guys, who knows, whatever. Maybe he was trying, he thought in his head, I can put it on this property and pin it on this person and kind of like, you know, just confuse people. Maybe he had that much forethought.
Other than this residence, we've done some polygraphs. We've done all kinds of things to other people.
In citing reasons for the search warrant, the FBI agent noted that pieces of clothing from one of the victims were missing and that it appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. There were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. Investigators recovered fibers and unidentified hairs at the crime scene. The agent also suspected a souvenir had been taken by the killer and that it was common for perpetrators to memorialize the crime scene with pictures. It's not clear if anything was found in Logan's home, but he...
And so I wonder, like, we don't know what led them to Alan's place, but I wonder if they found the souvenir there, supposed that they believe was taken, you know?
He was never arrested before he died in 2020.
On July 17th of 2017, police released their first sketch of the suspect. They had received thousands of tips and were working through them. But as the months passed and years passed, this case went quiet. That was until April 2019. That's when a new sketch of the suspect was released. And additional audio of the suspected killer from Libby's phone emerged. Again, tips came flooding in. The families of the girls and that community in Delphi were hopeful it would finally lead to a break in the case. But again, days turned to weeks, weeks to months, and months into years.
It's crazy. And Digga sent me some more information about Logan, which again, you know, he's innocent, but taking you through some of the crazy shit that went on, right? And so it says there, Mr. Logan also allegedly lied about where he was at the time that the teenagers disappeared. I mean, he was out of the area with a friend on the afternoon of February 13 when cell phone location data actually placed him in the area around the trail. So that must have like thrown police for a conundrum, right? Like, holy shit. Like, the document also says that his voice was not inconsistent with that weird, I don't know how they even were able to say that audio that we heard. It's like, you know, I don't know how you can match that to anybody or whatever. But the man captured in the video by Libby. Mr. Logan was never charged and he died. Well, here it says 2020. Somebody in the chat screaming or whatever, talking about 2021. Over here it says, or 2022 or something like that. But it says he died in 2020 before the case was solved. It is currently unclear if Mr. Allen has any connection to Mr. Logan or Klein or the Anthony Shots account, which we're going to get into the whole Anthony Shots account crap. And you know what was so crazy? Well, I'll wait till I'll tell you what the crazy shit is with that stuff.
With no arrest and sadly no answers.
Then, nearly 5 years after the murders on December 6 of 2021, police asked who had communicated with the social media account of the name Anthony Shots. A flurry of activity took place then. The images in the accounts were those of a male model. The account itself belonged to a man from Miami County. He lived just over 30 minutes from Delphi. Police said Keegan Klein admitted to creating the account to solicit nude images from underage girls.
So that's some weirdo shit, right? We've always heard of like people that like make these catfish accounts and stuff like that. But I was told, you know, not confirmed, just allegedly, there's people out there that supposedly make these accounts, fish accounts, they'll start talking to girls, underage girls, and supposedly they either sell the accounts or the account is used by multiple people, and there was these allegations too, which I don't know at all if it's true or not. I haven't deep dived this shit, but they thought that maybe Keegan Klein's account was being used by Richard, but I don't know at all. We just have to wait for more information. But this is stuff too for parents to be really aware about, and maybe even talk to their kids and daughters about this weirdo shit, catfish shit. They put this guy was like a model or something like that. I forgot. I was told that this model guy was actually like lived in Alaska. He didn't know anything about this, about his pictures being used and all this kind of shit. Sorry, all the cursing. It's early. Just stop with the cursing.
Klein admitted to creating the account to solicit nude images from underage girls.
Tell me about Anthony Schatz. Why did you create that profile?
I don't really know. I was just lonely, you know what I mean? Just talking to people. I don't know why I did it.
But Klein said he was not trying to meet any of those girls in real life. Klein also said that police told him his Anthony Schatz account was the last to communicate with German before her murder. Turns out, police had served a search warrant on Klein's home in 2017, just days after the girls' bodies were found. It was for a child exploitation and child pornography case.
And so, are you aware whether you may have talked to Libby?
Cree's Crazy Life said, I think it's a ring. I've heard people have that same feeling online. I've seen chats or talks or conversations about that. I don't know.
On the 13th?
That's what they said. That's what the police told me.
That you did?
Yeah.
And do you have any recollection of that?
No, not at all. I've told them 100 times I've done everything they wanted me to, and it's like they're just harassing me.
Klein was charged August 29th, 2020 with 30 counts, including child exploitation, possession of child pornography, and obstruction of justice. He allegedly told investigators he would talk to girls using the Anthony Schatz account, even if they were under 16. He claimed to have received photos from all of the girls he chatted with. Investigators seized 6 devices from Klein, including smartphones, a tablet, and an iPod Touch. Police found sexual images of girls. Some appeared to be only 14 years old. And after being interviewed by police, Klein returned home. He later told police he found another phone and turned it over to them. Police said an examination showed someone had uninstalled and deleted Snapchat, Instagram, and MeetMe. The browser's search history had also been deleted before the phone was turned into authorities. After several continuances, his jury trial was set for September of 2022 in the child pornography case. Klein has not been charged in the Delphi murders. He has not even been named a suspect. And so the families of Libby German and Abby Williams wait for answers.
So this picture too, somebody said at the bar, I thought this was like in his home or something like that, but they're telling me this is a bar. This picture where he takes a picture with his wife, and then literally the suspect picture is like right behind him. Also, these are the 2 suspect sketches that were put out, and so I believe the one with the hat was the first one put out, and then the one with the curly hair was put out. That's gotta be confusing as shit too, because they look kind of pretty different sketches. That's the one at the bar.
5 years. That's 1,825 days that have passed since the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found in the woods near Delphi.
They probably had you guys.
That's 43,800 hours. The people who loved them have had to wonder who the man is in this video. The man investigators say.
Damn, man, that's so like creepy and crazy.
The man
down the hill. Guys down the hill. Is that really what he said?
This video. The man investigators say killed the girls and where he's at now.
I I don't think anybody thought we'd be here at the spot at the 5-year mark with an unsolved case.
But that's where they are, despite thousands of tips, along with video and audio of the killer. Libby captured on her cell phone as the girls hiked on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Not to mention 2 different sketches released 2 years apart.
I think eventually what we'll be able to do is put the face of the murderer up in between those 2 sketches, and we'll be able to merge them together and become one.
Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter says he personally gets 25 to 30 tips a week that he forwards to investigators. Carter can't give a definitive timeline as to when the girls' families or the public will have answers or the justice they want.
What's important to me on the 5-year anniversary is that people know that we're continuing to full speed ahead.
It's frustrating. We all thought we would have answers 5 years ago, but we also know that law enforcement is doing absolutely everything they can and putting all of their time and effort into the case, and they want answers just as much as we do.
Have a mantra they've said since the beginning.
Today's the day.
5 years later, those words don't always come out as easily as they used to.
I mean, some days it's really hard, but yeah, we still keep positive that today could be the day and tomorrow.
I'm gonna get the super chats, but somebody in the chat said, regular chat said, cellar door says audio, video, phone records of a pedo, the date of murder, allegedly DNA, and it took 6 years. Then they have a back pat presser. Cops or something else. Angie, thank you so much for the 7-month membership. Says hi. She says hi. Ick, good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. If you can hit the like button to it, I appreciate it. It helps out with the algorithm. Jeanette, good morning. Thank you for the stars on Facebook. Sifa says, if this a church sermon or a press conference. MAGA Princess, thank you for the bits on Twitch. That's a shame. I read that one already. Thank you so much. That's a shame says, I'm an attorney in Indiana. The entire case is sealed. The only jurisdiction equals threat to ongoing investigation. What are they still looking for? Can tell you this guy has no real criminal history. Psychedelic Yoda, thank you for the super chat, says press needs to respect the integrity of case. Why can't they understand that? I guess people just want answers. I guess they've been waiting for so long, but yeah, they have to protect the case, obviously. Grim TT, thank you for the super chat. Diane on Facebook says bittersweet but long awaited. Pray all goes well as they proceed. Thank you. Revenge AU, thank you for the 8-month membership. Good morning or good day, Mel. Couch, what? I don't know. How you been? I'm good, thank you. Janine, can you find the pic of Richard Allen at the bar? We did that just now. Thank you for the 8-month membership. Hot Mess Jess, I think Klein sold account access to Richard Allen. I've seen people talking about that. That's what they believe. That's kind of weird that people do that shit too. Like they build up these accounts, they start talking to underage kids or whatever, and then I guess they have like, what are they, connections and shit like that, and they're talking with people and they're selling access. What the heck? This is Richard Allen here. Thank you. That's it. Mugshot. Let's see what else. The mugshot. Let me see real quick if I can put this. I don't know. Well, I guess you still got at that time in this picture. Yeah, almost the same beard. He grew this thing out over here. Okay. All right. So let's keep doing.
Tomorrow could be the day, and any day. We just have to keep being hopeful on that and have faith that it will be one day.
I know my grandparents say it every day, but for me, it's something that I say to reassure myself when I'm feeling frustrated, when I'm feeling like no answers are coming, and I'm feeling defeated. I say that. I say today is the day, it's coming. It'll get here.
The question remains, when?
The community continues to rally in memory of the girls. A ballpark was built and dedicated in their names. Benefit rides are held to remember the girls and help with the upkeep of the park. And tips continue to come into police, each one investigated, and another chance at solving the murders of 2 young girls.
Okay.
6 years since Abby and Libby were killed, and state police released several clues during that time.
Fox 59's chief investigator Steve Brown walks us through this investigation.
The last time Abby Williams.
By the way, I saw people talking about the social medias. I was sent the links. Costi did. They shut them down. I mean, some of the screenshots just a few that I was sent. This is one of this guy here, chilling, I guess. The Allen guy. Another one here with, I guess, him and his wife. Family Guy. Another one here. Do this one. And I heard that they were into hiking and like doing all that kind of stuff, outdoor stuff.
And Libby German were seen alive was February 13th, 2017. They were on the Monon High Bridge on the Delphi Historic Trail. They were supposed to meet a family member to be picked up, but the girls never showed. The next day, search crews found them dead along the edge of Deer Creek. That's not far from the Monon High Bridge, where the girls were last seen.
We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
For more than 5 years, their families and the Delphi community have pushed for justice and answers. Who killed Abby and Libby, and why? State police released several clues in this case over the years. The first came out on February 15th of 2017, releasing this picture of a man seen walking on the trail around the time the girls disappeared. Days later, they would call him a suspect. On February 22nd, state police announced Libby had video and images of the suspect on her phone. And this picture came from her phone. And for the first time, they shared this audio of a man saying, "Down the hill." Down the hill. Down the hill. The next
I don't know if they said guys. The other clip said that they said guys.
Clue came out on July 17th, 2017. State police released this.
Storm in the chat says, opportunity murder or planned? Were the girls his target, or was he after any female he may come across that day? If the girls were the target, how did he know they'd be there? That's a really good question, Storm. And like I saw one of the theories that people were talking about. It goes back to that whole social media account that Anthony Shots profile, where people believe somehow maybe they were lured with that account that Keegan owned, that he was sharing, and people were suspecting maybe Alan had access to that, but I don't have any proof of that or anything. But and I'm also told now there was another guy that was accused in April 2021 of being involved with this. There was another guy named James Chadwell, and he raped a 9-year-old girl. They busted in his house before he killed her. Oh shit! I'll play it. We can probably listen to some of that after this 4-minute video. Well, let me just play it now. We'll listen to it.
We're back. Police in Indiana rescued a girl from the basement of a man's home after they say she was kidnapped and sexually assaulted. Investigators are now looking into whether that same suspect is behind the unsolved murders of 2 teens in Delphi. Best friends, 14-year-old Libby German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams were last seen hiking on the Delphi Historic Trail on Valentine's Day 2017. Their parents report them as missing when they didn't show up at their pickup location. The next day, volunteers discovered their bodies in a wooded area. Investigators say the girls left a very important clue behind. Indiana State Police say German recorded a suspicious man following them, and someone can be heard saying, "Guys, down the hill."
Well, there's specific information in this investigation that we're not releasing that if it comes to our attention, we're going to know that's a good tip. We need to really pay close attention to that.
No arrest has been made yet, but a case just 15 minutes away is drawing new attention.
Ooh.
James Chadwell II was arrested last week in Lafayette, Indiana. Police say a missing 10-year-old girl was found in the basement of his home with multiple injuries, including bite marks on her body. According to police, Chadwell invited her into his home to pet his dogs when he allegedly trapped her and tried to strangle her. Chadwell is facing charges of attempted murder, child molestation, and kidnapping. The local sheriff's department is now reportedly looking into Chadwell to see if he has any connection to the Delphi murders.
People want to make the assumption that the voice saying down the hill belongs to the person that's captured in the image from the cell phone.
So there's a whole list of people that, were accused or were investigated. I mean, I guess they have to go through the process, but this case I never heard of myself. This guy Chadwell, James Chadwell.
That's not necessarily the case. We're not making any assumption about that. We have more video. We have more audio, but it is specific to the investigation, and that's why it's not being released at this time.
Here to discuss this true crime mystery is defense attorney Imran.
So that was that. Weird. Oh my God. I don't even think. Well, maybe we'll save this for another time. This other case. Disgusting. Affidavit accuses this guy of choking her and doing all this stuff, assaulting the girl, locking her in his basement. So he lured her in with like, I have this puppy to pet this puppy. Wow. Oh, the dog, really. The girl also had a dog bite. Holy shit. Sick guy. And this was, I think they said 15 minutes. Oh God. I don't even want to touch this shit. It's just too much, yo. We'll see if we even touch. Because even just skimming it, seeing some of the details, it's disgusting. This guy's also an outdoors person. He also shared numerous posts showing he had an affinity for the woods and outdoors, as well as a picture of a railroad bridge. So I can see why people were looking at this guy and they thought maybe he had some sort of involvement. In 2020, in a 2020 post, he wrote, "Sleeping under a bridge for a while till work starts. Only 10 days. Cool, dry, no neighbors. The bridge is only 6 minutes from work. Be thankful for the little things." Ugh. Over the years, others have considered suspects in the girl's death. You can listen to the chilling audio here.
Sketch of the suspect. It was based on tips from a witness on the trail that day.
Shows a little more facial features, gives you a little more information on what's we're looking at, who the suspect might be, and that's why we feel it is very important that this picture's out there.
Nearly 2 years later, a new sketch. Police announced a new direction in the investigation.
And that James guy apparently had some TikTok videos too, I'm hearing. Weirdo guy.
And said,
like some weird stuff on there. I haven't seen it.
This sketch more accurately represents the suspect. They also shared this new video from Libby's phone and this extended audio clip.
The mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know?
Those were the only clues until about 10 months ago. That's when Indiana State Police first released information about a social media account they believed was tied to the Delphi case. State Police asking for anyone who had had contact with the Anthony Schatz profile to contact them. That account solicited nude images from underage girls. Investigators first executed a search warrant linked to this account back on February 25th of 2017. Transcripts released this year revealed the person behind that account was supposed to meet the girls on the trail the day they were killed.
You see, it really seems to me, it really seems like they were lured out there. But the guy that has the account is this Klein dude. But the guy that's arrested is Richard Allen. I see why people are believing like there's some sort of connection there. I mean,
Police traced that profile to Keegan Klein. In August of 2020, he was charged in connection with a child pornography case and is currently in custody. He has never been charged or named as a suspect in the murders. He says it's also possible his father, Tony, had access to that account. Neither has been charged in the Delphi case.
All right, thank you, Steve, for giving us that.
I wanted to play, there's also where this guy's talking from jail. Keegan.
I feel like I'm being harassed.
He's being harassed.
Did you have anything to do with the murders of Abby or Libby?
Not at all. And I've gave up my DNA, a hair follicle test. I've done everything they wanted me to.
In December, Delphi investigators announced that catfish account Anthony Schatz was active on Instagram and Snapchat in 2016 and 2017, and they asked for anyone who interacted with that profile to come forward. But more than a year ago, then 26-year-old Kegan Kline admitted to investigators that he was behind the fake profile and that he used it to ask young girls.
That's interesting. I kind of, I don't know if we can find these documents.
For nude pictures and videos. Tell me about Anthony Schatz. Why did you create that profile?
I don't really know. I was just lonely, you know what I mean? Just talking to people. I don't know why I did it, really.
And were you ever trying to meet these girls in real life that you were talking to?
No, never.
Just 11 days after the murders of Abby and Libby, task force investigators served a search warrant on the home that Kegan shared with his dad. At the time, the FBI told the Lafayette Journal and Courier they found nothing to indicate a connection to the Delphi case. Kegan's electronics were confiscated then, but he wasn't arrested until 3 years later.
Damn,
he's now
3
facing
years?
30 counts of child pornography and child solicitation in Miami County, Indiana.
3 years later? That's a long time to do some shit.
Unrelated to the Delphi murders. He says, though, that Indiana State Police told him Anthony Schatz had been communicating with Libby before her murder.
I mean, you know?
So why do you think investigators are putting so much focus on you right now?
I have not a clue. I think it's because they said I was the last person to talk to her, is what they've told me.
Yeah.
And then she shows up at the bridge and they're abducted and later found dead.
Right.
And that was not you?
No, 100% not.
Kegan says he has no memory or knowledge of communicating with Libby, and investigators haven't confirmed.
How do you not have any memory or knowledge of communicating with them? So who communicated with them on the account that you had, that owned or whatever? Or you just don't want to incriminate yourself, or is somebody else using it, or what?
No, 100% not.
Kegan says he has no memory or knowledge of communicating with Libby, and investigators haven't confirmed if what he says is true. Do you think you're going to be charged?
Check this out. So, Diggs is sending information to. Check this out. Because this shit is kind of weird. Right? I don't know what's up with me and cursing today. Somebody posted here on Twitter. This was shared with me. Rumor. Allegedly, Richard Allen and Kegan Kline shared the Anthony Schatz account. If that's true, it's possible Abby and Libby were lured to that location. I mean, that would make sense. Unless we're going to believe that it was maybe just coincidence this guy was out there because they did like hiking and he ran into these girls. But I cannot think it's just coincidence that they're connecting with they're communicating with the Anthony Schatz account right before their death. So, I mean, sus, man.
With anything related to Abby and Libby's murder?
No, I don't.
So the state police haven't threatened that?
No.
This was October 20th. Indiana police have focused on Kegan Kline as they hunt the killer for 13-year-old and 14-year-old more than 5 years ago. Oh, this guy's going to trial. Man tied to the Delphi murder is going to trial on these charges. Indiana police have focused on Kegan as they hunt the killer, 13-year-old and 14-year-old. Two girls were murdered near the hiking trail. There were reports that he may be trying to reach a plea deal in the case in exchange for information about the Delphi killings. Oh, sure. Well, Kline was arrested 2 years ago on these charges, but it's believed it is believed to have communicated with Jermaine through a fake social media account shortly before the girls were killed. I mean, bro, come on. Police believe 2 different individuals were using the Anthony Schott social media account to communicate with young girls. In a jailhouse interview, Klein reportedly claimed that his father had also access to the account. Father-son shit, were they passing this shit down generationally? How do you even get into that? Like, as a family and shit. Like, that's some family stuff. They spending the weekends and the weekdays talking to underage girls and stuff. They keep in the family. They just pass it down to generation. And where's his father? Is the father not arrested? Is he dead? What's going on with dad? What's his name? Tony? Why isn't his ass arrested if he was using that account too? I wonder what's up with Tony Klein. Did they get him too? Let's see. Tony Klein. Oh, shit. Tony Klein. It's pretty weird. There could be some sort of connection. I wonder. I don't know.
And to an update tonight, we've learned the man connected to the Delphi murders through a fake social media profile was taken out of jail to meet with Indiana State Police investigators.
Yeah, we're talking about Kegan Kline, who faces charges of child pornography and exploitation that are separate from the Delphi murders of Libby German and Abby Williams.
And Rich, he joins us now. You've actually been following this story since it first broke on the fake Anthony Schott's profile.
Right. Now, Kegan Kline has never been charged in the Delphi murders, but Kline has been held in the Miami County Jail for 2 years now, awaiting trial on 30 charges involving child pornography. Court records unsealed this week show the prosecutor and Kline's attorney agreed to have him released into the temporary custody of Indiana State Police. The court granted that request last Friday. Kline was ordered returned to the Miami County Jail afterward. Now, we don't know why state police investigators wanted to meet with Kline outside of the jail or where they took him. But Kline's attorney also asked for and received another delay in the court proceedings. The attorney told the judge that the parties are currently engaged in negotiations. Now, Kline faces 30 charges involving child pornography and exploitation. And in court records, Kline admitted to creating the social media profile Anthony Schott's to meet underage girls and receive sexually explicit photos. Investigators say the person behind the fake profile was one of the last to communicate with Libby German before her death. Libby and Abby's bodies were found near a trail in Delphi.
This is some interesting stuff too. Transcripts 1 through 4 transcripts from a recent interview with Kegan Kline's ex-friend. This is by a true crime bloke. And so actually let me download the images so I can zoom in and okay. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Interview by Fig Solves with Kegan Kline's childhood friend. This friend was mentioned in the leaked police interrogation transcripts. Oh, and wasn't this... Okay, so another thing if we can do while I read this, is there interrogation that's been put out with Kegan Kline? Can we find that shit? Like, is that out? I meant to look that up. I don't... Kegan Kline or interview or something. Let me see. That's the jail thing. Is there any interrogation? Or hasn't been put out? Interrogation. There might be something. Yeah, I think there might be something. All right, if somebody could send it to me, I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe we can do a different stream on it so I can have time to look for it. All right. So this is an interview by the childhood friend. Fig is in bold. Okay. Fig is in bold. Friend is in normal font. Okay. Fig is in bold. Friend is in normal font. Okay. Hi, friend. Hope you're well. Callie Bloke mentioned you might be interested in having a conversation about some of your experiences with Keegan Klein privately. This works perfect. Yes, Callie mentioned you. I can definitely talk with you about Keegan. I would like to be anonymous because I am very close to this case. My name is listed in the document, and I don't want anyone to know I'm involved. I was already mortified when the law enforcement interviewed me because they found nude photos of me. How do you know Keegan Klein? I was a really good friend with Keegan from 3rd grade until 7th grade. We may not have been close after that, but we always talked here and there up until he got arrested. I'm sure you know about the ski mask incident. Freaking scary. What do you know about the incident? Honestly, I had no idea about the ski mask incident myself, and I myself am trying to figure out who was involved. I have 2 female cousins, but one in particular, I believe, was the victim of the ski mask incident because she was friends with Libby and went to school with her. But as everyone is saying, this incident happened in Galveston. Can't be true, as none of my family lives in Galveston and hasn't for years. According to the police transcript, it seems your sister was communicating with the Anthony Shots account. Sister's name is my sister, well, half sister. Really, it says sister's name. I'm really honestly surprised that my intuition was right. It states that your sister gave the address to the Anthony Shots account, and then it's not clear who the guy in the ski mask whose window he was actually looking into, but someone associated with the family came off a school bus and saw a man in a ski mask looking into the window at your family's household. Funny enough, I asked my sister about Anthony Shots, but she claimed she never spoke to him, only Keegan. But I could definitely see she was lying, which I could understand. I guess if you're a younger kid or something, I don't know, maybe embarrassed and don't want to admit to it or whatever. I think the news got it wrong with the location. They misread the transcript, in my opinion. It states that Keegan said he used to visit the family back when they lived in Galveston, not that the ski mask incident occurred there, so they probably got it confused. Yes, that's exactly it. They did get it wrong. Keegan did say he visited when we lived in Galveston. That is correct. The ski mask definitely didn't happen in Galveston. Since the ski mask incident didn't happen in Galveston, what city did it happen in? If truly happened to my sister, it would have been in Logansport, but if it were my cousin, it would have been in Flora. The reason I'm not convinced it was my sister is my parents' house doesn't have any ground level bedrooms, and there would be no way a person could look into the upstairs windows. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder if it was made up or at a different house. Weird. Thanks for answering. It might be why the description was so vague. I think because it would be easy for anyone to get close to the person to know who it was. I think they were trying to get the details from Keegan. Oh, that makes sense. So there was an incident with a ski mask that really did happen, but like in 2010 in Peru, I believe. I'll send you the article. So maybe they were using this as a half truth to fool Keegan. Okay, please do so. Please do send the article. It's very possible. Mother warns of abduction attempt. Oh, it sends the article. That's interesting. Yeah, did you find the part about the ski mask in there? Yes, I did. Okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification. So there was a ski mask incident, and then there was a slumber party they talk about a week or so before the girls were murdered. Know anything about the slumber party? Were there talking about Anthony Shots. I don't honestly. This is the slumber party that was supposed to be at a friend or acquaintance of the family, question mark. Oh, no worries about the slumber party. I'm not sure. So was just trying to understand. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm honestly confused about the slumber party too. I can try and find out about the slumber party and I will let you know. Thanks. I'm going to have to really talk to my sister. Okay, I see you are mentioned. It doesn't talk about nude photos in it. It just has Keegan saying he was friends with you. Yes, because I wasn't underage, but the police seem to think these photos, along with many others, were being sold. Okay, so law enforcement found the photos of me on his devices. They mentioned a computer, but it sounded like it was more than just on a computer. I did send photos to Keegan. Long story short, right after high school, we had a short period where we talked a lot and talked about dating. The conversation was always about sex, and I eventually just stopped talking to him. Ooh. Okay. Oh, did they think they were being sold? That is what I suspected, but I have no evidence of it, just a hunch. When did the police talk to you? When did law enforcement interview you? And what did they say? After going back and looking, it was November 2020 that law enforcement and I met for the interview. They asked if I knew about the double homicide, and shocked, I said no. They explained that it was the Delphi murder case and he was the lead detective, Vito. He asked how I knew Keegan. I explained we were friends. He stayed at my house a lot when we were younger. Video explained that they were trying to figure out the connection, if any at all, Keegan had to these two girls. They asked about him living in Vegas. I told him Keegan has always been a liar and made up stuff all the time, like this, or he was in a famous band, or had a Lamborghini, had tons of money, and I knew it was always a lie because I'd never known him to have a real job, let alone graduate high school. What does this guy do for money? Oh, well, I guess yeah. They informed me of photos and conversation they found between Keegan and I and my sister. They asked if Keegan had ever used any other accounts to talk to me. I told them I believe he did, but had no proof, and it wasn't the Anthony Shots account. They did mention the Emily Ann account. So this guy probably has multiple accounts that they don't even know about, luring young girls and all this kind of stuff. But I hadn't heard of it. They may have mentioned the actual Anthony Shots account, but I can't remember. They asked me about my family because Keegan brought my family up and said we were really close. They seemed very interested in my brother and what he drove, and if he ever let Keegan borrow his vehicle. Of course, that was a no, and my brother hasn't seen Keegan in person for at least 10 years. I bet they were trying to ask about the car because law enforcement believes they were trying to figure out what cars were spotted around the place. The girls were murdered the day the girls were murdered the day of the murder. Okay. They were probably trying to see if your brother was a getaway driver or something. Yes, I definitely knew that because I had been following the case before this all happened with Keegan, because I mean, obviously it happened so close to my hometown and I like true crime investigating stuff. So did Keegan try and use the Anthony Shots account to talk to you? No, he didn't, but I do believe he had contact with the other person or persons using his Snapchat because I was asked if I'd sleep with his dad. And the way the other person spoke was not Keegan. I could also always knew it was a different person because they would ask for pictures of my stomach. Okay. What the heck? That is so weird. So on Snapchat, they were using the Anthony Shots account. Okay, just so I'm clear, which account was talking to you on Snapchat asking for pictures? Was it Keegan's personal Snapchat account? No, Keegan's account or one of his accounts, because I had blocked several of his accounts. Because he kept asking me for photos after I told him no, or he kept trying to get me to basically sext him. How many people do you think were contacting you from some of Keegan's profiles? At least 2, you'd said, or maybe 3. Honestly, I couldn't really say, but I do know that it was more than just Keegan. So he's sharing this account. Okay, not sure who the person communicating with AS was in these screenshots, but a YouTuber named Gray Hughes got these sent to him and showed them on his channel. Just thought you might find them interesting. These are interesting for sure, and honestly seems like a lot of the messages I get from Keegan. If I turn him down, he'd say the same thing. Oh, sorry for thinking you are hot or sexy or anything along those lines. The thing about Keegan is he's manipulative. One of the last times I talked to him before he got arrested, he kept telling me he had cancer and only had a few months to live. Wow. So we should hang out. Even though this guy in the video that we were watching, he's claiming, I don't try to meet these girls. No, I never try to meet these girls. He really pushed the hanging out thing, but never hung out with him. But I never hung out with him. The cancer thing is nothing new for Keegan. He has used that manipulation tactic since we were in middle school. Wow. Here is a video that flips through a bunch of Keegan's different profile names. If you're interested in the Delphi murders case, another fake Keegan Klein catfish profile. Oh yes, I'll watch this. I've watched the video of the fake account. It was the Lucas account he used for Snapchat. Oh wow, awesome. That is good to know. Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you for sharing the video. When was the last time you physically saw Keegan in person? The last time I saw him would have been in 9th grade year. I believe it's been so long. Okay, it's hard to remember. Like, I think he has the same accent as the BG, but the BG guy has a little deeper voice, in my opinion. When is the last time you spoke with Keegan via text or email? I texted him while he was in jail because, once again, he manipulated his mother into asking for my phone number because he supposedly had information on my relative who had been murdered. He admitted it was a lie, and he only wanted to talk to me. I stopped talking to him after that. He still texts me, but I never answer. He's just wasting his money. Oh, well, sorry to hear about your cousin, and sorry he is still harassing you via text. Crazy that inmates have access to phones and stuff to text, especially with what he is in jail for. I wonder if he would text you anything about the case or his dad. I don't want you to put you in that situation, but maybe I could text him though. It's okay. It's annoying, but just ignoring his text isn't that hard. Haha. It definitely is crazy. He's allowed to have a phone with those things he's charged with, but I assume they're monitoring his usage closely. If not, I would be surprised if he's engaging in sexual conversation via text. Damn. Wow. Put this back up here. What a case. I wanted to show this too a little bit. Not this whole video, but just a portion of this. Okay, there we go. This with regards to this guy that was arrested, Richard Allen.
News story. And Rachel, what have you learned?
Well, we're starting to learn more information about the man police have arrested in connection to the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Now, Karen, you mentioned the name Richard Allen. Property records from the county show that Richard Allen lives here at this home along Whiteman Drive in Delphi. Friday afternoon, we went out to the door of that home where Allen is believed to live. No one answered. Neighbors living nearby confirm that Allen is their neighbor. One neighbor who spoke to us off camera tells us he is in shock over the arrest. Throughout the afternoon, many people from around the community and around the state have been driving past Allen's home here, hopeful that at least with his arrest, police will finally learn more about what happened to those girls and why, so the families can finally get justice.
There's a sigh of relief, but it's not over yet. So, you know, he has to be formally charged and go to court before there's true justice. So we just have to hope that they have all the answers and it's going to hold.
Now, we'll be continuing to gather more information throughout the evening about who Richard Allen is here in the Delphi community. But now we want to send it on back to the studio where our Emily Longnecker is. She's got more of a deep dive on the Delphi case background and what's kept so many people in the Delphi community pushing for answers and for justice for the past 5 years. Emily?
Thanks, Rachel. This is the day the families of Abby Williams and Libby German have waited for over 5 years to have a suspect in the girls' murders in custody. was more than 5 years ago in February 2017 that Abby Williams and Libby German went into the woods near Delphi for a hike and never came home. Their bodies were discovered the next day near the Monon High Bridge where they went walking. That's the same bridge where investigators say Libby captured video and audio of the killer on her cell phone. Until today, there were no arrests in
That stuff we all know. Okay, so I'm also hearing there's like this transcript of the interview. It's like 194 pages, so I don't know. Maybe one day we'll cover it. I'm not sure. This other thing too, which is interesting. Let's see here. There's the screenshot that was sent to me. Let's see. Let me just download it real quick, which is just kind of like more that it seems like maybe this Klein character, I don't know, could have some sort of. This person on Twitter says Keegan Klein signed the snitch CI form a month ago. Immediately after the feds were searching the river 30 minutes from his house, a month later, Richard is detained. I don't know if they're connected, but it sure does look like it. Motion to seal record. Keegan Klein. And we just read that article too. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. For sure. What a crazy case. I couldn't imagine how it must have been in real time all these years while this stuff was happening. The people that have been covering this story for years. Let me see if there's any other clips. I mean, I have a bunch of video clips, but oh, and this guy too. So this guy, let me show this too before.
Robin, Judy.
They're saying this guy worked at a pharmacy too. I guess Allen.
This arrest not only bringing relief to this community, but shock as
Guy had a
many
regular
people who live
job,
here tell
family.
me that the suspect is actually a local working here in Delphi for years. The murders of two teenage girls from Delphi, Indiana, rattling their hometown to its core as more than 5 years went by without an arrest.
It's scary because we have a lot of trails here, and I have a teenage daughter, and we enjoyed going on those trails and doing things in the community, so it just left you with a feeling of uneasiness. Now some relief as sources tell WRTV, our ABC affiliate in Indianapolis, that an arrest has been made in the investigation into the murders of Abby Williams and...
You know what I was thinking too, because somebody had sent me a picture on Twitter and they were showing me this guy Alan's daughter and a side by side with Abby. And if you see the images, they look kind of similar, which is kind of creepy. It's creepy for a multitude of reasons. One, he targeted underage girls, young girls. Two, that same bridge where these girls were taken or killed or whatever, he takes a picture of his daughter on that same bridge. I can't imagine what it must be for that family too, finding out about this stuff. I wonder if they ever had any kind of clues throughout the years that this guy was weird. The other thing I'd be concerned about if I was that mother, I'd have to start having some serious conversations with my daughter if this guy's ever been inappropriate, you know. I don't want to put that on anybody, but as a parent, I would be highly concerned about that shit, you know.
Libby German. The teen's bodies were found near a hiking trail in February of 2017. The name of the person arrested has not been confirmed, but sources say that the suspect appeared in court this morning. Heather Starkis says she knows the suspect. She described the person arrested as a local who worked at a Delphi pharmacy.
Carly says pharmacy tech at CVS. Oh Lord.
Store.
I used to be pharmacy tech. I used to work at CVS. I worked at CVS. I worked at 2 different hospitals, and then I worked for an insurance, kind of an insurance company, IT company.
For years, she had this to say about the suspect.
The person that they're accusing has children of their own, so how would you feel if something like this were to happen to your children?
German's sister posting on Twitter today in part, quote, "Just know how grateful I am for all of you. Today is the day."
I hope the best for the community and the families, that everybody can finally be at peace with what happened to those girls.
And Indiana State Police are expected to identify the suspect Monday morning when they are expected to give us more information on this case next week. For now, we're live in Delphi, Indiana. I'm Trey Ward, ABC.
Insanity, man. Let me just see real quick. Any other stuff? I think that might be it for it now. Disturbing document describes Delphi.
8 at 5.
Oh, here. There's one more
than a month after
bit of information that's kind of interesting. Messed up.
8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders. It's a story we first broke for you on TV and online this morning.
ITMate has obtained court documents that, for the first time, publicly describe the scene where those murders took place. What was taken from the scene and a potential early suspect in the case, ITMate's Demi Johnson, has been following the story from day one. Demi, this document, very powerful.
Yeah, that's right, Phil and Alexis. It's this 9-page request for a search warrant filed March 17th of 2017. Now, that's a little more than a month after Libby German and Abby Williams were found murdered in Delphi. This disturbing document, for the first time, gives us an investigator's description of the crime scene and what the suspect may have taken with him.
ITMate obtained the request for the search warrant from the Murder Sheet podcast, the same group that first published the interview transcript of Anthony Schott's suspect, Kagan Klein. ITMate has confirmed the document is authentic. The document, written by an FBI agent, describes what investigators found when they discovered the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German on February 14th. The agent writes a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. Authorities also found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girl's body.
See, there's still a whole bunch of information that we don't know. But just that 2 articles of clothing were missing. Did this guy keep that over the years? Did he hide it somewhere? Were they able to find that?
Crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. The agent goes on to say, based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene. The agent also references the video on Libby's phone, confirming it was 43 seconds long. Up until now, only a few seconds have been made public.
I didn't know that. I thought they released the full thing. I didn't know it was actually 43 seconds long.
It's this short long. Up until now, only a few seconds have been made public. It's this short audio clip where you hear the suspect talking to the girls. The agent also confirmed.
And that's so weird. Oh, so I guess he was talking to them. Yeah, guys down the hill. Yeah.
Short audio clip where you hear the suspect talking to the girls.
Damn.
The agent also confirms the girls were being followed by the suspect on the Monon High Bridge Trail. The agent also says there were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. The search warrant is for the property of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the 2 girls were found dead. You see him here in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the girls were murdered. It describes his activity the day the girls went missing. The agent says Logan claimed someone drove him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th, at the time the girls disappeared. But the agent says these statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive law enforcement officers. The agent says Logan contacted his cousin and asked him to tell that story before the bodies were found. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime. I asked the founders of the Murder Sheet podcast why they believe this new information is significant.
This is a situation where you've had a lot of speculation or rumors going around that sounded pretty realistic or perhaps, sounded like well thought out. But it's another thing to sort of see it just in black and white on a court document.
I feel it is really important to get actual court documents where people are actually have to swear.
Belly says, I've posted several times. It's 43 seconds. Okay. Thank you.
An oath that what they're saying is actually true.
Now let's tell you a little bit more about Ronald Logan. It's important to note Logan is dead. He died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. He was never formally named a suspect and never charged in the Delphi murders. But in this document, the FBI agent says Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. Now, we showed you that video of Ronald Logan in this story, and in searching through our archives, I found this interview with him shortly after the girls were found. Here's what he told us about the day the girls went missing.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked for permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time that the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until Tuesday at around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Stunning new details, Demi. I know you reached out to the girls' family. They had no comment. But what about state police and the FBI?
So I did just receive a statement from State Police Superintendent Doug Carter. He tells me, I would like to remind the public that this is an active and ongoing investigation.
All right. This part I was listening to this morning, and I think I should play some of this. We don't have to play the whole thing. This is from News Nation, but this is where they reference to that supposedly this name Richard Allen hadn't been floating around. Some people are saying it was. I mean, again, I haven't deep dived this case, but just at least from the news people, they've been saying
what happens next in this case. Let's bring in former FBI agent Doug Coons. Doug, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you have spent a lot of time examining this case. Did you see this coming?
This last year, I would say yes. Prior to that, it seemed to be getting pretty stale. Hats off to these guys, the state police, the locals, the FBI, everybody that's been involved with this. They never gave up. The diligence and just the sheer amount of tips that were covered, the hard work involved. Hats off to those guys.
You know, and as we said, this is a case we've been following closely here at News Nation. I know I've personally been interested in this. Never heard this name before, though. Had Richard Allen ever been on your radar? Because I know his name was never mentioned publicly before.
It had not been on my radar or.
So people in the chat, they're telling me the news is saying it's not, but okay, Snicker says it was in 2020. All right, so I'm gonna take your guys' word because I haven't been following like this. They're saying it was. Okay. If possible, it doesn't have to be now. Then maybe if somebody can find that, and we can put it up on the screen.
Any ones that I know of now. I've never been personally involved in this investigation as law enforcement. And when I retired about 4 years ago, we continued to get some tips into my private agency that we would pass on. But no, that's not a name I've ever heard come up.
Well, so Doug, Kelly kind of walked us through the ins and outs of this case now more than 5 years in the making. This arrest coming now. Why now?
So the 4 to 3 second clip, because I see Belly talking about it and Cheeks, that whole clip, no, Cheeky, yeah, they just said in the news 8 seconds is not the whole clip. They just said that there's 43 seconds total of that video, but the whole thing has never been put out. That's what we just watched. So all this time, again, I haven't deep dived this, but I've always seen that little small snippet, the voice, the video, and I thought that was the whole thing. Apparently that's not the whole thing. What else is on that on video? Snicker says Wikipedia has it dated 2020. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you. I think I have that Wikipedia pulled up somewhere. Or I had it pulled up. Okay, yeah, I did have it pulled up. So I'll look for it. I'll type in his name.
Some piece of information's come in, some piece of evidence has been found. I can only speculate like everybody else, but it seems to be after the arrest of this Kagan Klein that it seemed like they were kind of homing in on something. So I don't know if he's even still connected or not. I hate to speculate, but it just seems like there's probably some sort of connection.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you more about Kagan, but, it's possible that Richard Allen, who, again, obviously has not been found guilty, hasn't even been named officially by police, but, he's now under arrest, could have been on the run at this point for more than 5 years, living among the community. Did authorities maybe...
Yeah, and they're telling me, too, that full clip has never been posted. This is the warrant thing you're playing. Oh, okay. Delphi log. Okay, Delphi. I mean, okay. On the Wikipedia thing, I typed fine for that guy's name. I don't see it. I'll try to read it, but I don't see that guy. What's his name? Richard Allen. I don't see him mentioned on the Wikipedia article that I'm reading.
Know more than they let on.
Ooh, Lindsay says, Mel, it was mentioned in an anonymous group. Really? And it appears the poster of it. Then tried to retract it and say it was a spell check thing. I've seen posts and it wasn't a spell check issue. Interesting. Ooh, I follow the Delphi group close. On Reddit, there was an entire thread on this, Richard being mentioned in 2020. Ooh. Wow.
Oh, I'm sure they knew more than they made public. When you're investigating something like this, the only time you're going to release information to the public is if you think it can help you resolve this case.
I wonder if that would be a bad look for officials, like if it's been mentioned before but never really looked into.
And I know everybody wants to know, but there's just no good reason to put out information unless you think it will help bring in tips or spark somebody's memory or something like that. So most likely they've been keeping some bits of information close to the vest, and it's now culminated in this arrest.
And of course, that makes sense. And we have heard of these recent FBI searches, potential suspects investigators have been looking into. As Kelly mentioned, this man, Kagan Klein, he has been a focus of the investigation. I want to play for you what Doug Carter with Indiana State Police said about Klein to our Rich McHugh back in February.
Did Abby and Libby communicate with this profile?
I'm not going to talk about that, but I am going to say that we learned a tremendous amount through that particular investigative course.
What can you tell me about this man who has been arrested, the creator of this profile, Keegan Klein?
All I can say about Keegan is that entire issue and the entire release has allowed us to glean significant investigative leads.
All right, so Doug, with your expertise, help us read between the lines here. Is there more going on? Could Klein still be connected?
It's possible. Just speculating, of course, here, but it seems likely to me based on my professional experience. He's got his own issues with the charges that he's facing, and perhaps he provided the information that led to this arrest and could be given some credit. It's hard to say, but I would think it's very likely.
Yes, so many people interested in this case, and it looks like now finally moving forward.
Okay, I think we're good for today, man. Thank you guys so much for coming through in the chat. Thank you for the people that helped me out. If I got anything wrong, sorry about that. What a crazy, insane story. I didn't know this thing was like that deep. And I'm pretty sure we just pretty much covered the surface of it, really. Probably, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff on the internet and the people that have been covering it for years. I'm going to keep an eye, for sure to see what kind of updates come out. Maybe we'll cover the updates or maybe some old information that I never covered. Maybe we can talk about that. Wanted to say too, happy birthday to Dad Set. I hope you have a great day today. Anybody else's birthday as well. I know Lindsay's birthday is soon. I don't know when. One of these. Hopefully she doesn't kill me. Happy birthday to Lindsay too. There's a bunch of people's birthdays. I don't know that I know. Also, there should be some interesting channel announcements coming soon. I don't know how exactly I'm going to integrate it with live streaming, but I might be having like my first sponsor. I mean, it's not really already signed, but like I'm going to have to see how that whole thing works out. So soon, probably within this week or like into the next week, that's gonna happen. It'll be my first time, so we'll see how that works out. We're gonna do a trial thing first and see. And also, let me see. Oh, you know what? You want to watch something real quick? I don't know. You want to watch this before we leave? I don't know if I've seen this weirdo's TikToks or not before. If this video was posted on YouTube. I don't even. Somebody told me in the chat, don't even cover this guy's story. And maybe I won't. Maybe I won't, because I just scrolling in the details of hearing what this disgusting person has done. I don't want to know. I don't want to know, man. It can mal check Discord. I saw you. Okay, let me see. I think I've seen the serial killer. Oh, this is from, oh no, that's an old post. My bad. Oops, I'm reading an old post. Mel, we looked at the Evansdale case of the two girls murdered, similar to Abby and Libby. Even if it's, can we look at? Oh, okay. The Evansdale case. If there's a, if I could just find a short clip and I can play it. Evansdale murders. A news clip. I don't want to use like a channel because I don't want them to. Still under, this case is not solved. The Evansdale murders.
New at 6, 10 years ago today, hundreds of people scoured the area in and around the eastern Iowa town of Evansdale in search of two young girls who disappeared while they were riding their bicycles. Tonight, investigators are still searching for the person who killed cousins Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook.
KCCI's Amanda Rooker shows us how this case has sparked more conversations among Iowa families about safety and stranger danger.
Yes, Steve, Stacy, this is just every parent's worst nightmare. But experts say it's a chance for parents to reflect on this tragedy and talk to their kids about the importance of safety.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's the same thing, you know. I still have another day without one of my children. A piece of us is missing. You know, a piece of our family is gone.
It's been 10 years since Heather Collins woke up to life without her daughter. On July 13th, 2012, 8-year-old Elizabeth Collins was out biking in Evansdale with her 10-year-old cousin, Lyric Cook. But the two girls never came back. Their bodies found months later.
We don't know who did it. The only thing we know is that she's in heaven with Lyric, and we're down here just trying to get by each day.
Collins now living with an unimaginable reality, one that every parent fears. It's why Janelle Ball-Hagan with Blank Children's Hospital says it's so important to talk with kids about safety.
We want to help children realize what situations could put them in danger, being alone, and that they don't have to talk to someone if they don't feel comfortable, and that we always want children to feel that they can come to us and they can tell us if something didn't feel right.
And she says that conversation should go beyond the typical stranger danger talk.
So often when we hear about abductions, the child knows their abductor, whether it's a family member or even just maybe it's been someone in the neighborhood. Maybe it's been, you know, a friend of a parent's.
And she says that's why communication with your kids is so important. Another tip from law enforcement, use technology to your advantage. Older kids can use cell.
Fresha sent me some interesting stuff. These are like archive posts, and I think this is what people in the chat were talking about. I don't know. They were referencing and mentioning a Richard in 2020. The guy in the picture is Richard, a local who was near the scene, but not the killer, most likely. There was never any proof that Richard did it just because they took a video of him. Seriously though, just because he is mentally handicapped doesn't mean he's capable of brutal murder. Is that like a meme? I don't know. There was talk of a Richard, but We'll look more into this another time. It's kind of weird. Okay, the last thing is we're already at 2 hours.
So apparently I was liking some videos that I was just trying to support and didn't really understand exactly what they were about. But I'm still gonna fucking support you guys. You got me, I got you. That's all that matters. Keep doing what you're doing.
So this is the guy that tried to kill the girl. He was caught before he did abuse her and did all this horrible stuff. But police got there before he was attempting to kill her.
I love what you all are doing, man.
I don't play music though.
Sisters, where it makes it matters. So this national rape thing, it's a bunch of young ass kids fucking starting some bullshit just to get some social media support. They're not really fucking doing that. Nobody does that. If they do, we fucking kill them. That's all. They know. Don't be a lamb. Be a lion.
So wondering who this is. This is guy we're referencing earlier. I mean, he did some really horrible stuff. I don't even really want to even go into the details right now. Sentenced to 90 years for kidnapping and trying to kill a girl in graphic and unimaginable crime. All right, he did a whole bunch of horrible shit. He used his dog to lure this 9-year-old girl into his apartment before he kidnapped her and did all this just despicable, disgusting shit. So he had like a TikTok or whatever.
If you fall into that trap, that's your fault. Because you're a fucking dumbass. Get over it.
Oh, louder? Okay, I got you.
So I said I would never do this. Because I'm not photogenic for one thing, but I also just really don't like people. I have dogs. But I just wanted to say thank you to all you people out there that are sharing your stories and inspiring the rest of us to keep trying and doing our best. It means more than you know. That's really all I got. I'm not here for the shares and the likes and any of that stuff. I'm just here for support for others. Okay, there's something I want to get off my chest. To all you black folk out there that are constantly trying to stand up to the government because they're corrupt. Thank you. I love you.
Okay.
And no, you're not in this battle alone. We're all in this together. United we stand, divided we fall. Let's win one for the people.
Bruh.
For our people.
It's sicko, dude.
So, all you chicks on TikTok trying to sling your booty or sling your taco, whatever you're trying to do, you need to wrap that shit up. It ain't working. Nobody. We got Pornhub for that shit. We don't need your little extras. So, take that shit somewhere else. We're looking for a real ass woman.
Real ass woman, this guy. Over underage kids.
The age of 30.
Over the age of 30.
And confident. And you know who you are.
Okay. Couple of things with regards to the Delphi stuff. Enough of this guy. Okay, two things. I keep saying it's a wrap, but we keep going. But we need to wrap it up. Okay. So this article BL had sent me, at the bottom of it, Daily Mail. This has all the people that were accused. Boom, boom. Wonder if men linked to notorious unsolved murder. Keegan Klein, 27 of Peru, Indiana, was named a possible suspect in the girls' murders. He is said to have admitted to talking to Libby German using a fake Instagram profile called Anthony Shots. The suspected P, who was heavyset and pasty face, used an image of a ripped and muscular young man to trick underage girls into speaking to him. Klein is said to have arranged to meet with Libby in Delphi on the Delphi High Bridge the day before she was murdered while walking along it. But he also said to have shared his Anthony Shots password with others, including his father, and said his dad could be a prime suspect in the killing. Klein is being held in jail after being arrested on these charges. We talked about that. Neither he nor his father have been arrested over the killings, the Delphi killings. James Chadwell, which is the sicko we were just watching now, was added to as a suspect in 2021 after he was arrested and convicted of luring a 9-year-old girl to his home, where he assaulted her and strangled her in the basement 20 miles from where Abby and Libby were murdered, which is like, I can see why people were looking into his weird ass. The girl survived. Chadwell is currently serving a 90-year sentence for the attack. And I can't imagine the trauma that girl and therapy and all kinds of shit that girl has had to go through. Chadwell's brother characterized him as being pure evil and much more capable of the Delphi murders. Authorities have released no connection between Chadwell and the Delphi murders. Thomas Bruce, I haven't heard of this guy before. Thomas Bruce, a former pastor who was charged with fatally shooting one woman and sexually assaulting 2 others at a Catholic supply store in St. Louis, Missouri in November 2018. Bruce was noted for having a similar stature to the man seen in the Delphi video, and also wore similar clothes during his St. Louis crime as the man in the video Libby and Abby took. Indiana police looked into Bruce in connection to the Delphi murders, but no charges have been handed down. He is currently serving life in prison for his St. Louis crime. He's a killer. Another person I haven't heard of. Damn, this is some Brian Laundrie shit. Charles Eldridge was arrested in Union City in Indiana in 2019 after he arranged to meet somebody he thought was a teenage girl for sex. He was charged with child and was linked to the Delphi murders because of his strong resemblance to the man in the Delphi video. In a preliminary police sketch, investigators had circulated the suspect. Police say they ruled Eldridge out as a suspect and that he did not match an updated sketch of the suspect. John Miller. Damn! Jeez! John Miller is 63 years old in 2018 was arrested in 2018 for the 1988 cold case rape and murder of, I feel like I've heard that name before. 8-year-old April Tinsley. Miller lived 2 hours from Delphi at the time of his arrest. Damn, they got some weirdo people all up in that area. In the years before the arrest, Miller had left numerous notes in public places saying the killer of Tinsley would strike again. I killed the 8-year-old April Marie Tinsley. I will kill again. One note found in 1990. No charges have been issued against Miller in relation to the Delphi case. Daniel Nations, a registered Indiana offender, was arrested in Colorado in September 2017 after threatening hikers with a hatchet. It was also reported that a cyclist was murdered on the same trail around the same time Nations was threatening the hikers. Nations was connected to the Delphi murders because of the similarities between the crimes and because he bore a strong resemblance to the preliminary police sketch of the Delphi suspect. Police cleared Nations as a suspect. Holy crap. Wow. Oof. Lord. Jesus. Weirdo Nation over there. Damn. All like in a small proximity too. What the fuck is going on over there? Some weird shit. Lord. It could be. I don't know. Barbara said, bet you there's a ring. The hell's going on over there in that little area of Indiana? All right, man. Thank you guys so much again. Appreciate it. I love you guys. I don't know. I'll see if anything else happens today. I'm gonna have to check on Quentin. It doesn't look like really any updates with Quentin. Besides, there's a lot of craziness going outside the house. They paused, I guess, for the weekend for the search. I'm assuming they're resuming today. I'll try to timestamp. I'm gonna ask Chris Cross if she's available, if she can timestamp this live stream. So we can get it going for the newcomers. All right. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll follow and see what happens with this and Quentin and any other cases. I probably have to start looking for a new case, maybe a new missing persons cover to add. And hopefully the family maybe can start to get some sort of justice, some sort of, I don't know, maybe peace or whatever, some sort of something to find out what happened to their kids, the families, I should say, and friends and everybody else. So, all right, take care of yourselves, guys. Peace. Hit like on the way out.